Hey guys, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how you transform this picture into this picture and into this picture, and I hope it will be helpful. Alright, so the first thing we'll notice is that this picture is very skewed, and that's because we're not framing it properly in camera, or actually our lens is not level because I want to show some of the roof or some of the ceiling as well. And you can actually get everything to be level if you have a tilt shift lens, I believe. But today we're just going to shoot with a regular 24mm, and in this case, more particularly, the Sony 24mm F1.4 GM. And it is mounted on the Sony A7R IV. So this is a 61 megapixel image. And as you can see, we can zoom in quite a lot. This is a one-to-one rendering, and we can see there's a bit of chromatic aberrations up here, but all that will not be noticeable in the final picture. So I'm just going to zoom out, and the first thing we're going to do is to level the picture. And to do that, we're actually going to go all the way down here, and under the transform tab we're going to use the guided feature, and you can click this and then click the guides up here, and then you can draw your own guides. And what I'm going to do is to start by selecting my vertical lines. So I'm just going to click up here and drag all the way down here so that it's completely even. And I'm going to choose a similar spot on the other side, right here, and drag it all the way down here, and going to release my mouse button. So now you can see it's already looking a lot better. And I'm also actually going to draw some horizontal lines, because in this guided mode you can have up to 4 lines to help you level out the image. So this is my first line. I'm just using the tiles on the ground as a reference, and I'm going to use these bricks up here as my other reference, and that evened it out a bit more. And then I'm going to click done. So that's the first step we'll be doing. And as you can see, it's actually provided us with a bit of a crop, so we still have a similarly square picture with the same aspect ratio, but it's just a bit fewer megapixels. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to go all the way up here, and we're going to start with the basic corrections. So at first we're going to raise the exposure a bit to really dial that in properly, and I'm just going to keep raising it because it was really bright outside, but when the ceremony started it got all cloudy. So maybe right around here seems just about fine. We can always tweak this later. And I also really like a bit more warmth to my pictures, so I'm going to crank this up a little bit as well. And this seems about right. We can tweak this afterwards as well. This is more a personal preference than anything else. So we can see everything looks great. There's a bit of overexposure right here, but I don't think that's any problem at all. And of course the windows are overexposed as well. We can't really do anything about that. The next thing we're going to do is where the real transformation starts, and that is by painting light. And to do that we're actually going to use the radial filter. So we're going to click up here to the right, and then we're going to increase the exposure of our radial filter, and we're just going to crank it quite a bit and see where that takes us. And we're also going to increase the warmth of our radial filter to maybe just around here. That seems just about right. And as you can see, the filter is inverted and there's a large feather on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to be focusing on these large windows that are just out of the frame here on the side. We can see there's a bit of light coming in, but it's not nearly enough. So I'm going to drag out an elliptical radial zone right here, like this, and then I'm actually just going to duplicate it and put it over here. And what we're doing is actually pretty much dodging and burning, just maybe a bit more advanced since we're putting in some color as well. And then I'm going to take this zone and duplicate it as well and make it a bit smaller and just place it over this window, so it looks as if the light is basically just streaming in. And I'm going to copy it and put it over here as well. And if you can't see enough of an effect, that may be because the feather is too strong. So you can actually dial down the feather a bit and you can see the effect will be stronger. And this is of course overdoing it, but maybe just a little bit if you want to increase the effect without overexposing too much. And basically I'm going to continue to do this, and I'm just going to duplicate these and drag them down wherever there are windows, wherever I can imagine light streaming into the church, like so. And even up here to the left, I can easily imagine there being some lamps up here. There we go. And maybe a bit over here as well, maybe just a little bit like that. And I'm going to duplicate this and just pull it down to these chandeliers and make them glow up just a little bit, like so. And I'm going to duplicate it and put it over here. And this is a bit further away, so I'm going to make that a bit smaller. And of course none of this is really too realistic, but I think it creates a really nice effect when you look at the picture. And my other radial circles will be up here on the ceiling, because I can imagine the light coming in from the windows and bouncing around and hitting up here a bit. And this is just going to be a bit more subtle, but I feel like it's really nice to look at, and it really warms up the picture. And there's also some reflections down here on the ground, so I'm actually going to duplicate even more of these radial filters. And if you hold your mouse just outside of the radial zone, then you can like turn it or rotate it, and then we can increase the size of it like so. And I'm going to duplicate this one as well, put it over here on the other side like so, maybe just a bit more. Right. Okay, so I think that looks pretty great. And of course you can tune it a bit more. You can go a bit more overboard with the patches of light, or you can make it a bit more subtle. My personal preference is that I like it just around where it is right now. And as a complete image, I think this looks beautiful and really conveys what was happening in the church this day. And if you want to decrease the effect a bit, then you actually have to go into every single of these radial filters and just maybe dial down the exposure a bit if you want to, and play a bit around with the feather. And I think this looks really beautiful. Let me guys know if you've ever tried dodging and burning or painting with light in Lightroom before, and leave a comment down below. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next time.